I'm actually sad they replaced what was her name again? Fuck. What was her name again? Brett Cooper. That was it. I'm actually kind of sad that they replaced Brett Cooper with somebody else, because I like Brett Cooper. She was cool. All right, but this one is called "Women Are Being Erased from the Women's March." Oh, I'm a little dizzy right now. Okay. I've been getting dizzy spells like every 10 minutes or so for like the past hour or two, so I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm okay. Let's see what this video has to say, shall we? Let's begin.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another episode of The Comment Section. I'm Reagan Conrad, and I am sure that you are unaware, but the Women's March happened this past weekend. And given the size, impact, and overall vibe, it is a far cry from the Women's March of yesteryear. Where are the nearly 500,000 angry women who marched through the streets in protest of Donald Trump in 2017? If the dawn of a new Trump presidency is such a threat to our very personhood, where are the women of 2017? And where are the endless celebrities that once marched alongside of them? Rather, the scale, money, and show of strength has dwindled considerably. Here is all 100 of them out walking. And it's not 100, but compared to 500,000, this was nothing.
I always found it really weird that all these people are complaining about Trump being president and everything. It's like, look, he may not be the greatest person. I don't know what kind of person he is because I don't really pay attention to him. But it's like these people don't realize he was our president for 4 years before, and you know, the world didn't end. There were no wars or anything. It's just nothing really bad happened. So it's just I don't see the problem. It's just let him be president. Let's see how he does. Let's see if he does better or worse than Joe Biden, although I probably think he'll do better. But let's just see how it goes. But instantly these people condemn him, even though he hasn't really fucked up anything, at least not yet.
F you fascists. And if you're enjoying that video as much as I am, make sure to like this episode, hit the subscribe button, and also leave us a comment so we can see exactly what your thoughts are on these women being extremely classy and patriotic. One commenter under that said, "Fascist how?" Fantastic question. Fantastic question. I don't know either. But as you can see by their march, that haggard old angry energy doesn't really carry the same vigor throughout the years. Honestly, the most exciting moment that I saw from the DC March this year was a wonderfully brain-breaking scene in which a young black man was wearing a Trump hat and approached the march. But they were all screaming at him. They were so angry. Unfortunately, I can't show you this video for copyright reasons. But let's just say that they were not being super inclusive and welcoming of their new friend who approached the group. And ironically, it was a man with a bullhorn that was yelling at the other man. So it's just a bunch of men now in the Women's March, which we will get back to. I'm still gonna put the link to this Twitter video in the description because I want you guys to see it. So that will be linked below. Can't show it here, but nonetheless, it is ironic. It's funny. They're yelling at him. They're saying like, "Be nice to black women," and he's like, he's not being mean to it's such a wild thing. One person commented under that video and they said, as they hold up their "Stop Racism Now" signs, which you can see in that video. And besides that video, here is a photo of one of the women at the march, what she decided to wear as her costume. She's dressed up as an abortion machine and says, "Abortions should be free. Safe, legal, and rare." Am I right? It's honestly horrifying how far that old talking point has come from the left.
Oh. I got nothing against abortions. I really don't. I don't know about. There are plenty of things that probably should be free, but I'm not really. You can't really say abortions should be free because you also you should pay for the labor that the doctor you're seeing is putting in to help you get the abortion. You can't just expect it to be free and have the doctor work for you, do this for you for free. You can't just expect somebody to do something for you for free. So, as much as I would like to say, yeah, let's make them free, you kind of have to, pay for the labor of the person. You can't just expect somebody to do something for you for free. Nothing in this world is free.
Because now it's been
And if it is, it's probably a scam.
completely thrown out the window. And that phrase wasn't even that old. It was 2012 when the party removed the word rare from
How the abortion debate moved away from safe, legal, and rare. Democratic politicians used to say abortion should be rare. Here's how that changed. Well, they aren't. I don't think they should have been as common as they are now, because there are a lot of women out there who have like sex without any sort of consequence. When they get pregnant, they go and get an abortion, and they treat abortion as some sort of achievement or some sort of status thing, which that's not how abortions should be treated as. I mean, if you were sexually assaulted, if it's from incest, if it could cost you your life, then yeah, this stuff like that shit, that's what abortions are, like, there for. They're not supposed to be meant as something that's like a trophy to be lauded over your head. It's not supposed to be some sort of status symbol like, oh, I got this many abortions, and praise me for it or whatever, some stupid ass shit. It makes no fucking sense that it has become as common as it is now as before it was back then, because it wasn't so common. Yes, they should be safe and well, they are legal, and they're a lot safer now than they were 10, 20 years ago. But people seem to think, like with this whole abortion thing, people seem to think that since Roe v. Wade got rescinded, that it's illegal to get abortions everywhere, or their abortion rights have been taken away. It's like, no. It's what changed is that now the legality for abortions the decisions for abortions to make them legal or not is now back down up to the state. It is not up to federal anymore. It's just down to the decision of the state. So it's still legal, but it's legal depending on whether the state you live in says it is or not. But I don't think abortions should be as common as they are, because it's just ridiculous.
Safe, legal, and rare. And a decade later, you now have a new generation walking around dressed up as an abortion vending machine.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Another very pleasant photo is this, and it says, Planned Parenthood saves lives.
Wait a minute.
I think that probably could be debatable.
Planned Parenthood does take lives. It's truly wild what noun or phrase they can put next to saves lives and then fully believe that they are in the right. Like, child mutilation saves lives. Here's another photo from the front of the march this year. It's all...
Let's see. Can I zoom in on this? Oh no, I can't. Sad. Your power, our power, people power, we make our future. United for change, march for our future. We won't back down. Together we can, we will not be silent. Our freedoms, our futures, our fight. A whole bunch of other signs I can't read because they're too small.
green, which is funny to me. and doesn't feel like a women's march at all. For as much crap as I'm going to give the 2017 Women's March, at least you knew it was a women's march. You knew too well that it was a women's march. But this one is just chaos. I don't even know what's going on. Also, there was one particular person that I wanted to highlight here in this photo. If you zoom in, there is a man in the hat, and he's wearing a crop top, and he has a wig on. I would love to know what his shirt says. What I want to point out is that, again, the man...
Oh, wow, there's an actual DARE sign. Well, those are actually quite rare. I haven't seen DARE since I was in middle school. God, so that was like... Guys, make me sound real friggin' old. Since the late 90s. So, almost 30 years. Since I've seen... a DARE thing. So it's over 20 years.
Appears to be wearing underwear and then has red all under his underwear.
Yeah, that's
I have no idea what message he's sending, but also it's a man. So it's disgusting on 1,000 more levels. It's disgusting regardless, but especially the fact that it's a man doing this. I think we found the man that I really wanted to get more images of. Let's see. That looks like him. Okay.
I will... Whatever and something abortion. Not yet a human. This whole debate on when is it human, either at conception or... It's just, oh my God.
Okay, his shirt says, I will aid and abet abortion. And then his stomach says, not yet a human. So...
Well, for him, it would just be a food baby because that's a man, and men cannot get pregnant.
Well done. You're proving my point for me. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So then the pants that are bleeding are under those jeans. That's so disgusting. And so insulting for women. Like, any woman who's marching alongside that man should be ashamed of themselves. Talk about freaking degrading women. About to be the new, like... I'm about to put my own Women's March. Next year, we should take back the name Women's March and have a proper Women's March with the badass women in the movement. Reminding people what...
Should have women in the march who are actually logically thinking and are grounded in reality and not fantasy.
What in fact a woman is. One thing that was noticeably different from this year compared to years past was the messaging and the demographic of the march. Apparently, over the last few years, it has changed leadership because it wasn't diverse enough and wasn't inclusive of all voices. I guess saying women isn't broad enough for all women. It's just for white women, apparently. And since so many of the women have left the Women's March, they also decided to rebrand. And this year it was called the People's March.
Of course.
You cannot make it up. They removed the word woman.
Where does feminism fall in all of this?
The feminists have left this group. I would hope that there is not a single feminist in that group, because truly they have lost the plot completely.
Oh, true feminism doesn't really exist anymore. The only real feminists were the first and second generation. Those were because they were the ones that actually fought for something for women. Nowadays, I don't really know what women are trying to fight for, because women nowadays have all the same rights a man has, all the same opportunities a man has, and everything else. It's just, at this point, most of the feminist movement is just trying to fight for superiority rather than equality. So it's just, I don't know what the current generation of feminists are fighting for, because they got everything they were fighting for originally. And now it's just turned into some twisted thing.
When there's a man freaking dressed up like he's getting his period, where are the feminists? That has to be committing some kind of feminist crime. I don't know. if even I'm triggered, like, let me reiterate here because I really want to make sure this point is clear. There was so much infighting among the leadership of the women of different races and different social groups, so much so that many of the original women left and many men filled their places. So many men, in fact, that the word Women's March was not inclusive enough. So they now call it the People's March, as not to be offensive. Women can't have anything. And then we do it to ourselves. Like, I can't even blame the men because it's literally our own freaking fault. The Women's March. The last frontier of someone advocating for womanhood, for women. And all that went along with that back in 2017, which I disagree with, but at least they were women. Like, this is another perfect example of them kind of eating their own, where they had something like the Women's March. It was the biggest gathering in DC, I think, right next to Obama's inauguration.
You know, for a Women's March thing, if they're going to fight for anything now, I think they should fight to get back stuff that were of and for women. Because now it's just, there seem to be the identity of what it is to be a woman and what a woman is seems to just be disappearing or being eradicated by their own and of outside people. It's like women can't have their own thing. Women can't have their own identity. Women can't, it's just the thing. Women, the things about and of women seem to just be disappearing. So if a women's march is going to march for anything, march to get your shit back. I think that's what should happen. Women should march to get their shit back. Because it seems to be disappearing and being taken over by other people. And by Karens. And woke dumbasses.
In terms of the scale of people. So it was working, it was successful. They actually made a point, even though it was a stupid point. Their inclusiveness ends up erasing themselves. Slow clap for all the women out there who've done this. Well done, ladies. You are really spearheading a new chapter for American women. Oh, gosh. Here, actually, is a faction from the march that happened in London, and this happened there. There's also a couple Trump signs in that, but again, this is in the UK, so any hatred they have towards Trump doesn't matter, but he's just living rent-free in their minds. Just in case you didn't hear that, they're saying women's rights, trans rights, one struggle, one fight. I can list a plethora of women who would vehemently disagree with that statement. Riley Gaines, Paula Scanlon, Peyton McNabb. Those are just 3 women who are bold enough to highlight exactly why women's rights and trans rights are in no way the same fight. In fact, they completely contradict each other. In addition to the marches being a fraction of the size that they were in the past, they also couldn't recruit any highbrow celebs to speak at them. In fact, the London March had plans for this man to speak. That is, of course, before they found out that he was a convict who spent 30 years in 29 different male prisons for attempted murder. Andy No pointed this out and he said, wow, the Women's March in London today couldn't get Madonna to speak, but had invited a keynote Trantifa speaker, which, by the way, Trantifa is trans and Antifa combined. I think Andy coined that term himself. He said, Sarah Jane Baker was dropped at the last minute from speaking after people highlighted Baker's criminal convictions for attempted murder, kidnap, and torture. UK Women's March did not speak about the systematic rape of English girls in their country, but raged against the inauguration of Donald Trump and the UK law that restricts most abortions past 24 weeks. Now, obviously, I was disappointed by their D- performance this year. They didn't even try to knit enough new pink hats to ensure that everyone had knitted genitalia on top of their heads. What a shame. But perhaps it is a sign that shame has actually returned and that donning a cap like that will only encourage laughter rather than any real productive conversations. But I was still curious as to their merch for their most recent rebrand of the People's March, so I went on their website to see what they had.
Here we go. Buckle up. It's gonna be a bumpy one.
Here are some of my favorites. You got a crew neck that says feminists versus fascists. Now the hats may be gone from this year's collection, but this one did say, this grabs back.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Another one is feminist Trump fascists, so they're really trying to be witty and clever there. But the one that I really wanted to highlight was the sweatshirt that says Jezebel. For those of you who do not know who Jezebel is, she is a woman known throughout time for being a murderer, a prostitute, and an enemy of God. How truly poetic. It's disgusting. Of all the women that you're going to model, emulate, look to as a role model, you choose Jezebel. Such goals. True feminism goals. In wrapping up this episode, I couldn't help but think about myself back in 2017. At the time, I was in college, slowly finding my voice and being tested in my beliefs. I wasn't very vocal online at all, but seeing the sea of hats emboldened me to ever so slightly speak out. I tweeted something along the lines of, "My gender is embarrassing me." I naively figured that everyone else would agree, political persuasion aside, that dressing like a vagina...
I honestly believe that it's not the majority of women that are believing in this stuff. It is a minority of the women, but it is a very vocal minority that makes it look like it's the majority. I think a lot of the majority of women that see this are very embarrassed by what their own gender is doing, and they are embarrassed to be associated with them. So it's just, I feel bad for a lot of you ladies out there that have to deal with this and be associated with it because you just happen to be born a woman. So, you know, I feel bad for you.
Vagina was in fact embarrassing. I quickly learned, though, that I was wrong. I got messages from girls around my town saying that I hated women and calling me all sorts of names. I'm ashamed to say that it spooked me so much that people could misunderstand my heart or my intent, that the backlash I got from that one little tweet shut me up for a while. But over the last 7 years, though, I realized that just because someone calls you something doesn't make it true. As the left so often does, and as women did in my case, weaponizing words against someone as a form of suppression is evil and unproductive. We've seen it happen with basically every ist and ism thrown carelessly onto every poster and yelled so many times that those words have lost all of their power. Thankfully, though, I've come a long way in the last 7 years, and by the looks of this march, so has our country. Things like hope, joy, and most importantly, truth can be motivating forces that transcend the test of time. On the other hand, the energy of anger and rage simply does not.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who try and say, well, this is my truth. Well, this is my truth. There is no your truth. There is only one truth, and that is the truth, and which is grounded in fact. And if you don't like the truth because it contradicts your truth, then, well, sorry, it's just fact. You can't, go against what is actually true. Just because it's not your truth. So goddamn stupid. Well, that was the comments section. Women are being erased from the Women's March. I think a Women's March needs to be, needs to be transformed into a march that takes back a lot of the shit that has been slowly erasing stuff from and about women. But that's just what I think.